And so I'm just going to record as we have in the past. So what I'm going to do, I think Michael is back with us. And I don't see him yet, but oh, there he is. Okay, I was going to just give an overview of what tonight's meeting is going to entail. So it's going to be fairly brief because we've already met, and we just want to go ahead and just solidify what our next steps are, like provide some updates and keep this process moving forward. And in doing so, what I'm going to do is turn it over to Michael. He will be sharing with us on this call and those who will view it later about the grant that needs to be used before the year end. And we mentioned last meeting some things that we would do with that grant in terms of sharing the information, using it for some marketing purposes for the Keystone Monon group in its entirety, as well as looking at our process, how we're going to take these informal groups and pare down to get our steering committee. So I'm going to stop talking because I know that Michael has to leave very soon, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Danita. Good to see everybody again. I think we all know each other. Where we are at this point, I think we sent out a week or two ago a flyer looking for feedback on that because we want to start printing that and getting that in storefronts and businesses, as well as a direct mailing that will go out to the entire Keystone Monon and some surrounding area neighborhoods before the end of the year, to make them aware that the process is occurring and to create a pathway for folks to engage with the informal working group and subsequently with the steering committee. We're kind of on a grant deadline to spend the dollars and to report on the dollars by the middle of December. So we're going to start to move that forward. I'm going to assume we didn't get any real feedback on the flyer, but I think Jesse and some others started sharing it. So we're going to take that as good. People are happy with it. You probably saw that we started doing some social posts asking people, what do you call this neighborhood? And we've gotten a lot of Sobro, a lot of Keystone Monon, which we kind of expected. Anxious to see how that flows out on social in terms of what other people have to say about the identity of their own community. And so that's all pretty exciting. I know Brian couldn't make it tonight, but he did call me before the meeting and sort of volunteered to bring 3 or 4 people to the table in the next conversation that we'll probably schedule not until January, just recognizing the holidays are coming up. But we're going to start making people widely aware that there's a planning process coming, that there's an opportunity to engage and to shape the conversation and to start to build excitement. And I think Danita will share with you ways that we hope that you will help us extend that message through social media, through contacts, through passing out flyers, posting flyers in businesses, et cetera. I think the more folks we can get around the table, the better. We're not behind the curve by any stretch of the imagination. We knew this was going to be a long process. We've got good folks here now, and we're hoping to continue to grow the family, as we can say. And we might, Brian and I had a long conversation about, well, what happens if people don't show up now, but they show up later to complain? And that's a natural part of the discourse that we're engaged in here. We're going to ask people to be proactive. We're going to ask people to be engaged. They may or may not do that, and that's okay. We anticipate that occurring. I think what we need to do is to be intentional about extending the opportunities and meeting people where they are. And when folks show up that think something's happening and they're not part of it, we will welcome them with open arms. So it's okay if this 6 or 7 group only turns into 12 or 15. Over the course of this process, it will grow. And it's okay if people find themselves agitated that something's happening that they didn't know about, as long as we're doing our work to make the opportunities available and to welcome people wherever they are and however they come to us. We're doing pretty good. So if everybody's comfortable with that, we're in a good spot. We're feeling some synergies. There's good social interaction so far. And we have these two grants, one from MIBOR and one from the National Association of Realtors. And the one we have to spend and report out on by the end of the year is the $5,000 from the National Association of Realtors. So we will print that, we will mail that, and we will social that into broader engagement. We can't spend it on tactical implementation initiatives. We kind of have to spend it on the planning process. And that's kind of where we are now, but we are looking at other funders. We actually turned one in today to the Local Initiative Support Corporation, where we're trying to explore additional funds to support the planning process. So we are continually looking for opportunities to fund this community's desire to plan for itself. And we'll keep you apprised of all those, both before we apply for them and in the case that we receive them. And I think, Jesse, you had looked at that it wasn't Elevate Indy, it was the INRC grant. Were you able to make any progress on that process?
Hey, Michael. Yeah, I did apply for it. I went through the process, and basically my writing of that grant and my sort of reasoning for it was a piggyback on what we're doing as far as identifying for the neighborhood signage, some things like that. So yeah, everything got turned in. They got everything they need. I had a couple of conversations with Ari, who is running that, I think. So, if we don't get it, that means somebody else got some really good stuff out there too, but hopefully we do.
That's great. Well, anybody have any questions about where we are to date? Danita will kind of follow up and let you know where the flyer is going and what the next meeting schedule is going to be. But so far, things I think are going generally well. I have had some conversations with State Representative Porter, who's on the Fairgrounds board, as well as on the Midtown Economic Council. I think he's asking some questions with the fairgrounds as it relates to the deaf school. I don't know that there's a change happening imminently. I think there's some conflict between the deaf school and the blind school and the co-location plans that the state has. But I think there are some behind the scenes conversations going on between the fairgrounds and the state about potentially just transferring that deaf school property to the fairgrounds. And I think we have a lot of questions about that, what the fairgrounds intentionality is with that, because there's 80 acres of land in your neighborhood there associated with the deaf school. So I think we want to try to create a little more transparency behind what's happening in those conversations, which all seem like nothing's happening, and then we'll all wake up tomorrow and something is already done. So we're trying to stay engaged in the conversation and present and try to understand what the intentionality is from the fairgrounds and from the state on that disposition. I think you might have followed a little bit about, if you weren't following the Rebuilding Stronger initiative from IPS, there was a plan at one point in the process to eradicate the broader Haverford fields at School 55 at Eliza Blaker School and turn them into parking lots. The revised version that was approved by the board last week did not include removal of those fields, so the fields will stay. The plan will be amended, and broader Haverford will continue to have access to those fields at the school, which I think was a general win. There are a little over 11 or 1,200 children registered in broader Haverford. That's their main campus there on 54th Street. There's a secondary there, obviously at 46th Street. And so we're trying to help the league maintain a presence in the community as a valuable youth engagement organization, but didn't know if you guys had that latest update. So what was passed does not take away the fields. The fields will remain. And what the pivot plan is, we haven't seen yet, but they're not going to eliminate Diamonds 1 and 2 and turn them into parking lots, at least for the time being.
I know that we had someone join us.
Matt came back on.
Matt, thank you. Hi, Matt. Welcome. And so we are recording these sessions, Matt, and as well as sending out the notes. related to those meetings. So anything that you may have missed, we're happy to catch you up with that. Catch you up. I don't know why I can't get that out of my mouth. And then, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to just jump right in. Not to put you on the spot. So, Michael, thank you for that overview and more importantly, helping to set the tone for tonight. Again, tonight we are going to be looking at how do we engage more people. I want to publicly say to Brian, thank you for supplying the contact information for about 30 individuals. And some of those are unable to be here tonight, but they did receive the information and indicated that they received it. Tonight just wasn't applicable for their particular schedule, but we hope to further engage those persons. But we need everyone's help in providing contact information. I'm happy to do all of the work and the follow-up work for them and then reporting back out. But as we're trying to put together these working groups that will pare down to a steering committee, we definitely need more and all hands on deck for that. So if you have a list, please feel free to just shoot it to me electronically and I will go ahead and send out the information and get them to our next meeting and meetings and find out what their desires are. Additionally, I don't think any of us want to meet in December. I think we're probably all in holiday mode or just coming to the end of the year and grant reporting, et cetera, mode. And so I wanted to know from you all, when do you think we should meet next? January or February? I know we don't want to get too far away from what our goal is, because if we do, we run the risk of losing momentum. I'm going to just share with you first and foremost, I'm not going to lose momentum. I'm excited about this for the Keystone Monon community. But January and then
when does the mailer go out? When is the push date wise?
Well, we're coming up with that particular date. We can push in next month, because just because we're not meeting doesn't mean that I'm not still working on it. So
Yeah. I'm just trying to.
We are probably, Brandon, because those dollars have to be expended before the end of the year, going to pay a print house and a direct mail campaign in the middle of the month. We can choose that mailing to land yet this year or after the new year. Kind of looking for feedback a little bit on that. I think we've got, if I had to guess, about 6,000 or so, 7,000 addresses to hit with that. Rather than just relying on the magazine, which is a vehicle for larger news, there will be information about this in the magazine, but I think we need to send a specific notice to every household and every business in the community that a process is occurring and how to engage with it. And I want to say that's about 6 or 7, if I had to guess, 6 or 7,000 parcel addresses. We need to pay for that this year. We need to book that put it in motion this year. It's okay if it mails in 23, early 23, but kind of looking for you to tell us. I don't know that the January meeting is the time for everybody to be engaged in. I think we want to try to steer more people to engage in the website and into social and to sign up for information and news. Because I would imagine into the new year, we've probably got a month or two of continued informal steering committee work to do to structure and receive all of the input we're asking for. That's kind of where we're at.
If I can throw out a date that's applicable to us, the
Sure.
Sobro Farmers Market, the Winter Farmers Market kicks off on the 14th, so 2 weeks from today. So that's a date that we will have captive audience as far as disseminating information or collecting information, whatever can be most beneficial.
So December the 14th is the Winter Farmers Market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the first one. It'll be every Wednesday following that. But as far as big captive audience, first week blowout.
Wow, I like that.
And where is the Winter Market?
The Winter Market is at Half Liter.
Oh, is that happening? Okay,
Nice.
thank you. Because we do have that QR code that will allow them to, one, also identify what they call the location, but two, will help steer them to the landing page so that they can learn more about the certified plan and giving us the opportunity to capture their data and so that we can continue to update them.
Yeah, I'm just to answer your question. I think we should meet definitely in January at the latest. I was just trying to ascertain like when a mailing was going to drop to see if that meeting would also potentially have more people to actually be a part of it. But I think that you guys are saying that it might, what we have to discuss is kind of independent of that. So propose like dates for January at the latest, and I think we can all go from that.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Excellent. Anyone else wanted to weigh in?
Well, why don't we target our next sort of informal steering committee meeting to happen on the 4th of January? Does that work for everybody? If we can come back together on the 4th, and then ideally between now and then, we'll tell you when that mailing is going to drop and what the opportunities are to engage people to report in or connect with this initiative, maybe in mid or later January, at the following 2 weeks, which would be the 18th.
18th.
Does that work for everybody?
Cool, works.
Good to me.
I'd also be interested in hearing from Carrington as the neighborhood advocate. What's going on in your world? What's going on in the community? What are you hearing, and how can we be a resource?
Yeah, so with now, we're starting to have starting to die down just because of how the holidays coming up. However, it is still leaf season from November 7th to December 2nd. And I think I've mentioned this before, it's preferred that you use plastic bags instead of paper bags. And you can leave them where you normally put your trash pickup. And they usually collect, each person can have 40 bags of leaves each week. And so it's that. Then also the American Red Cross will be installing smoke alarms for free during the holidays. And so I have a flyer. I'm not sure if I have a JPEG of it, but I can send this info through email. And so you just contact them. The number's attached to the flyer, and they'll install, I think the mandatory number is 3 smoke alarms per house. And so they'll install that for free, no charge. And so definitely something to look forward to during the holidays. And that is all I have now from the mayor's office. I know there's a few toy drives and a few food drives coming up. I have to find more information on that. I'll definitely let you all know once I get more information on those events. I know usually a number of the YMCAs have a fair amount of toy drives and food drives during this time in the area. So.
Well, thank you, Carrington. And if you send those flyers you have to Danita, I can ensure that we get those out to the whole group. And then
Okay.
I am curious, as it relates to the city's planning for the nickel plate, if there's any DPW upcoming conversations that are happening or planned yet before the end of the year or early next year related to the building process, et cetera?
Yeah, so we're actually having a meeting tomorrow morning, where I'll find more information about that. So I'll let you all know once that meeting concludes. Also from DPW, pothole filling. They still will be filling potholes. However, just due to the weather, the solution that is used will not bond as well as the pot fills, just strictly due to the weather. And so some potholes may reoccur after a week or a month or so after being filled, but they are still working on that. And so, so yeah. But yeah, I'll have more information on. I'm sorry, what was that you said?
The nickel
Oh.
plate, the
Nickel
nickel
plate?
plate planning. And so any
Okay.
of those city opportunities that are coming, if you can get those to Danita, we'll put them up on the Keystone Monon sort of planning page. So everybody that lands there can see about whether it's smoke detectors or pothole filling, et cetera. We'll kind of create a resource section there that folks can track along with for sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Carrington, again, thank you for providing a list of other neighborhood interested persons, organizations to the Keystone Monon. So they too received information, and we will continue to shoot that out. Wanted to open the door to see if anyone had any thoughts about the flyer that went out. We didn't get a lot of feedback on the flyer. We didn't get a lot of feedback on the landing page. And so I wanted to know if you've had an opportunity to look at it again, or you're willing to just, if you're willing to just say, hey, I like it, let's continue on with it, because Monday was our deadline in terms of providing feedback. I know somebody already started sending it out. And so I received a call as a direct result of that. So that was good. But I just wanted to make sure you all were okay with it, and we will move forward from there.
Look good to me.
Thank you, Brandon. So I'm not going to belabor our time together. I'm going to give you some time back, but I just want to make sure that while we're here in this space, and believe me, I understand we all have lots to do, but I wanted to make sure that we're hitting the benchmarks that you're expecting from this meeting. We knew from the very beginning that it wasn't going to be the hair race. It's going to be the tortoise in a way. You know, I think it indicated that it was a good 18 to 24 month window. And as Michael even opened up at the beginning of our meeting, that we're not behind the gun. And we're actually right on target with what is expected of the plan. And of course, I've been saying all along, send that information to me, because we welcome all. And we are going to be continuing to extend the opportunities to them. And before I shut up, I just want to say, I will make sure to follow up with you regarding getting that information out there for the farmers market, the winter's farmers market. That's just one location, but as we were talking in previous meetings, we talked about strategic places in which to have those flyers distributed. And so you may know now, or you may have to think about it, but please share those locations so that
Jesse
we
knows.
can get that information.
Jesse knows how to get the information out there, right?
Well, I can certainly hope I can do my part, but I would love to have some of those. I can print them myself too, if we like, and I can get them to the business owners around here. I'm really trying to rally the business owners to come to these meetings too, but yeah, I think that when we shared the flyer, we got a few people arguing about what the place is called, so that's at least good engagement.
That's
But
awesome. That's
I-
awesome.
I was glad to hear Michael say at the beginning of the meeting here today that we're going to get people disagreeing, because I was like, uh-oh, this is the first thing that's going on. So, but
It's a healthy part of the process, Jesse. It's healthy for people to disagree. It's welcomed. Disagreement is welcomed here.
I like it. And I'm glad we're disagreeing about something that, just like the neighborhood name. So that's nice.
Okay.
Well, I spent some time recently, Jesse, at Mohawk because my son gets his haircut there, and was talking to them about some of the adjacent property challenges and thinking, and they seem to be welcoming of it. Is that kind of your experience, that business owners are suffering some adjacent property owner issues in terms of property maintenance and different traffic and things? What are you feeling and hearing as a business owner on the corridor?
Well, I think, the Hawkmock people came in and they were a little disgruntled, I think, with their landlord who
Yeah, I kind of got that sense. Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, so and he owns a lot of the buildings in the neighborhood. I've met him. I haven't had any issues with him, but I could understand, there's some disagreements with landlords, certainly. But yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the business owners, like probably half of them live in the neighborhood, and half of them want to support, but don't feel like they should be raising their voice because they're not, they don't live here, they just work here. But I guess I would argue with them that's it's as important. It's just a different role, I guess.
Absolutely. It is absolutely important to break any notions that because you don't live here, if you work here, if you recreate here, if you whatever your role is here, we want to hear from you.
Right. We spend all of our time here, and we have access to so many folks from the community. So and they gather in our places. So I want them to feel like they have an integral part in this.
That's great.
I
Well,
think-
is there some value in bringing the landlord that owns all these properties into the conversation early, whether it's this conversation or a different conversation? Is that something you can help facilitate?
I think so. I think Brian's a good example of a landlord that wants to be really involved. I would imagine Mike Perfect would be involved. I know a couple other landlords in the area. So yeah, we can.
Get Arturo.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Arturo. Yep. And then my landlord at Loom is Pat Hirschfeld. And he owns a lot of properties in the city. So
Cool. Yeah, whatever flyer, I'll get it to 91 and 55. And I'll make an effort to I'll send you a list that I've used before to bring out people. I will make an effort in getting Hope to the table as well.
Yeah, in regards
great.
to the flyer, I know that our printer is running a bunch of stuff next week for us, so we can print extras if anybody needs them. And then just to build on what Jesse is talking about regardless of if you live here or recreate here, I know that at the farmers market, lots of people who don't necessarily live here but want to recreate here more, vis-a-vis the Keystone Monon, the Nickel Plate Trail. I mean, people are very excited about things like that and very excited to voice their opinion on it. So I think all opinions are welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? I started by this last conversation saying that I'm going to give you some time back at 6:03.
You have a question.
Yes, please.
I had a conversation with Duke Oliver, and I know that we're getting redistrict. I think that anything that we do, we need to kind of invite Barth to the table as well.
Counselor, I've kept Counselor Barth apprised of what's happening, knowing that he's the likely successor to this particular geography in that district. And I think he will start once the formality of the process starts. I think he'll start engaging, but he otherwise has been read in on everything we've shared with you to date, and is aware for sure.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But I think similarly, as Duke's district changes and John's district changes, and a bulk of this area becomes John's district, there's still a desire to get Ashley Gervitz, and she is rumored at least to be the successor to Duke Oliver in her district to the east of Keystone Monon. And technically the Keystone Monon half of the Keystone Monon neighborhood is part of the the southeast quality of life plan. So it's kind of split. South of 46th Street is part of the Avondale Meadows quality of life plan, and the north half is out of that and is more of the Midtown plan. So there's a little bit of outreach we have to do organizationally to Ashley and her organization to the east, and to Councilor Oliver, to just make sure everybody understands that old lines drawn by extraneous organizations, and this is a consolidated neighborhood. We want to talk about this neighborhood, and you're welcome at the table.
Absolutely.
Cool. And totally random. I know it's not a conversation. I know you want to save time. In my opinion, we saved 91, like our neighborhood school. That was like, I mean, that was a ruckus. The whole rebuild stronger, whatnot was truly draining. So, but I think our neighborhood has a lot going for us, but we almost lost our neighborhood school. We still will have to fight for its programming, so, and its upkeep, but yeah, so just FYI. And somebody, I know, since we're all neighborhood folks, the Onyx and East development looks like it's kind of slowing down. Might need to kind of chime in on that, Michael. So they should have broke ground already. I don't know where they are.
They told us they weren't breaking ground until 23, so I haven't noticed a big slowdown on the Onyx and East thing. I did see the Holiday property. I was going to ask you all if you had noted the massive construction activity occurring on the Holiday property site on the southwest corner of the southeast corner of the Monon and 46th. To the northwest, there's not been any activity there. They have zoned it, but there's not been any construction activity. And I'm really not surprised with interest rates being what they are, that would slow down.
So, but just FYI, cool.
But I'm sure you all read that Gallery Pastry is going to open in the old next door at 46th and College. I think that's going to significantly increase the parking demands at that intersection. I think there's not sufficient parking for Root and Bone or for next door, because they were already parking on the property we acquired at 4566 and on the church's property. And I think that's only going to grow as an entity like Gallery Pastry moves into that. I think it's a great reuse of the property, but I think you're going to see more traffic consternation at that intersection with parking in the short term, for sure.
Well, Allison is planning on doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner there too. So it's
Yep.
it's going to be a constant flow.
I think generally people are excited about the opportunity for breakfast, lunch, and dinner there, but I think there is going to be some logistical things to work out as that happens.
Yeah, and then the Holiday property will have some retail, and that they're trying to get a restaurant or something like that in there as well. So I think that whole corridor, as we build out the plan and whatnot, 46th Street is going to be hopping. So I think that's one of the things of us staying diligent about this process. Private will go quicker than not. So if we can just stay on that, and that, if there's anything that like going into even next year about how we can broadcast or help, where you please like chime in.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So cool.
Michael, anything else?
No, I think if everybody's good, I'm good, and look for that communication to start happening. And I think I'll have Danita email everybody on once we formalize the distribution time frame and the breadth and which addresses we're hitting, et cetera. Make sure that gets out to everybody before we hit the go button.
Okay, sounds good.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
Gentlemen,
thanks. Thank you,
thank
everybody.
you. And have a great rest of the day. And I'm looking forward to receiving your information. And if I don't see or talk to you personally before the holiday, have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, do take care.